Right now, you have access to more food than any human in history. More comfort, more medicine, more entertainment, more connection to the world than ever before possible. And yet, anxiety is at an all-time high. Depression affects over 280 million people worldwide. Loneliness has been declared a global epidemic. But 10,000 years ago, a man woke up in a cave. No phone, no heating, no guarantee of food, predators outside, darkness all around. And according to researchers, he was probably happier than you. How is that possible? And what did we lose on the way to building the modern world? This is human theory, and today we go back to the beginning. Before we talk about happiness, we need to understand who ancient humans actually were, because the image most people have is wrong. We picture them as primitive, struggling, barely surviving, dirty, cold, terrified creatures huddled in darkness. But the archaeological and anthropological evidence tells a very different story. Hunter-gatherer societies, the way humans lived for over 95% of our existence on this planet, were remarkably sophisticated. Anthropologist Marshall Salins called them the original affluent society, not because they had much, but because they wanted little. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer tribes, the closest living connection we have to our ancient ancestors, shows something that shocks researchers every time. These people work an average of just 3 to 5 hours per day to meet all their needs. The rest of the time, they rest, they talk, they play, they tell stories, they stare at fire. Compare that to the modern human, working 8 to 12 hours a day, commuting, scrolling, consuming, and still feeling like it's never enough. Something went wrong, and it happened slowly, so slowly we didn't even notice. So what exactly did ancient humans have that we don't? The answer is not what you expect. The first thing they had was genuine community. Ancient humans lived in small bands of 20 to 150 people. Everyone knew everyone. Everyone had a role. Everyone mattered. Modern psychology has a term for this. It's called belongingness, and it is one of the most fundamental human needs. Researcher Brené Brown spent decades studying human connection and concluded that the opposite of belonging is not loneliness, it's fitting in. Ancient humans didn't try to fit in, they simply belonged. From birth to death, they were surrounded by the same people who knew them completely. Today, the average person has fewer than 3 close friends. Studies show that 1 in 4 adults has no close friends at all. We are connected digitally more than ever before in history, and more lonely than any generation that came before us. The second thing they had was purpose. In ancient tribes, your role was clear: hunt, gather, protect, raise children, heal, lead. Every action had immediate, visible meaning. You hunted, your tribe ate, the connection was direct. Modern humans suffer from what psychologist Martin Seligman calls a crisis of meaning. We do work that feels disconnected from real impact. We sit in offices completing tasks whose ultimate purpose we can barely explain. And our brains, still wired for ancient living, quietly whisper to us every day, does any of this actually matter?
The third thing they had was presence. Ancient humans had no choice but to be completely present. Every moment demanded full attention. Track the animal, read the weather, watch for danger. Modern neuroscience calls this state flow, and research shows it is one of the greatest predictors of human happiness ever discovered. Ancient humans lived in flow by necessity. We chase it and rarely find it. So when did we lose it?
Fire
Most
and peace!
researchers point to
The
one
stars
single
shine
moment in
on
human history.
us!
Around 10,000 years ago, in the Fertile Crescent of what is now the Middle East, humans made a decision that changed everything. They stopped following the animals and started growing their own food. The agricultural revolution. It sounds like progress, and in many ways it was. It allowed populations to grow, it built the foundation for cities, writing, science, art. But it came at a hidden cost that we are still paying today. Anthropologist Jared Diamond famously called agriculture the worst mistake in the history of the human race. A bold claim, but here's why he said it. Before farming, humans ate over 200 different species of plants and animals. Their diet was extraordinarily diverse and nutritious. After farming, the average human diet collapsed to just a handful of crops: wheat, rice, corn. Skeletal remains from this period tell a dark story. Ancient farmers were shorter than hunter-gatherers. Their bones showed signs of malnutrition. Their teeth were worse. Their working hours dramatically longer. But perhaps most devastating of all, farming created something that never existed before in the entire history of our species: hierarchy. When you can store food, some people accumulate more than others. And for the first time in human history, inequality was born. The chief had more, the warrior had more, the farmer at the bottom had less. And with hierarchy came comparison, and with comparison came the end of contentment. Here is perhaps the most important psychological truth in this entire video. Ancient hunter-gatherers had almost no basis for comparison. Everyone in the tribe had roughly the same possessions, the same shelter, the same food, the same status within their role. There was no neighbor with a bigger cave, no tribal member with a faster horse, no one posting pictures of their perfect life for 500 people to silently judge themselves against. Psychologists call this social comparison theory, and it is absolutely devastating to human happiness. Studies show that lottery winners return to their baseline happiness level within 1 year of winning. Why? Because happiness is not absolute, it is relative. We don't ask ourselves, am I doing well? We ask, am I doing better than them? Ancient humans lived in small tribes where everyone was equal. Modern humans live in a global village of 8 billion people where we compare ourselves to the wealthiest, most beautiful, most successful people on the planet every single day in our pockets. No ancient human ever had to compete with that, and our brains were never built for it. But here's the part that gives me hope. Because ancient humans weren't just accidentally happy. They understood things about human nature that we have spent centuries burying under concrete and screens. They understood the power of ritual. Every ancient culture had daily and seasonal rituals: sunrise ceremonies, harvest celebrations, fire gatherings. Modern psychology now confirms what they knew instinctively. Ritual creates meaning. Ritual creates connection. Ritual tells your brain this moment matters.
Today, we have almost no rituals left. We eat alone, we wake up to alarms, we work through holidays, and we wonder why nothing feels sacred anymore. They understood the medicine of nature. Ancient humans spent their entire lives outdoors. Sunlight, movement, natural sounds, seasons. Today, research from the University of Michigan shows that just 20 minutes in nature significantly reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, in the human body. Ancient humans got this medicine all day, every day. We get it almost never. They understood the importance of enough. Perhaps the most radical idea of all. Ancient hunter-gatherers didn't accumulate. They couldn't. They were always moving. You could only own what you could carry. And in that limitation was a kind of freedom that most modern humans have never experienced. The freedom of enough. The peace of not wanting more. The radical contentment of, this is sufficient. So what do we do with this? We can't go back to living in caves, and we wouldn't want to. Ancient life was also hard, painful, short. But we can take the psychological wisdom of our ancestors and apply it to the modern world. Lesson 1. Shrink your comparison circle. Unfollow accounts that make you feel less than. Spend more time with real people in your real life. Your brain was built to compare itself to 150 people, not 8 billion. Lesson 2. Create your own rituals. Morning walks, evening fires, weekly dinners with people you love. These aren't luxuries, they are ancient psychological necessities your brain is starving for. Lesson 3. Spend time in nature every single day. Not as exercise, not as productivity, just as a human animal returning to its natural habitat. Even 20 minutes changes your brain chemistry. Lesson 4. Practice enough. Before your next purchase, before your next upgrade, ask yourself honestly, do I need more, or have I forgotten to feel that this is enough? 10,000 years ago, a man sat by a fire under an open sky. He didn't know about smartphones or stock markets or social media or self-optimization. He knew the warmth of fire, the fullness of a shared meal, the safety of his tribe around him, the vast, humbling silence of the stars above. And in that simplicity, he felt something that millions of modern humans spend their entire lives searching for. He felt enough. Maybe the secret to happiness was never ahead of us.
We found fire!
Maybe